Hey teachers, if you are teaching using a hybrid model, this video is for you. Today I'm going to show you 5 learning activities to keep your in-person and virtual students engaged at the same time. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm Meghan Vestal. I'm a former teacher and current curriculum developer. I've been developing textbooks and curriculum for over 5 years now, and the way we develop curriculum has really changed over the past couple of years, and it really applies to what learning looks like in the classroom today. You see, even before COVID, there has been this huge push for more online learning. So as we've been developing content and curriculum over the years, we have always been looking for ways to how do you teach this in person and online, and providing teachers with instruction and activities that can be done simultaneously for both sets of students. So you can see how this really translates into a hybrid model. So here are my top 5 ways that you can keep your in-person and your virtual students engaged at exactly the same time. First, use collaboration tools. When it comes to collaboration tools, I always think that Google Apps are the best. You can have your students working on a research project together inside of Google Docs, or collaborating on creating a presentation in Google Slides at the same time. And since students are collaborating in a virtual setting, you can create groups of students that include your in-person students mixed together with your virtual students. So that's really cool. You can also have your entire class working together and communicating inside of one document or slides presentation at the same time. For example, you could pull up a Google Doc and have each of your students type a short book review or opinion about something. And so they're all sharing their ideas and responses inside of one doc, and then they can still communicate and ask questions with each other simply by using the comment feature. Second, use virtual whiteboards for your direct instruction, because both in-person and virtual students can watch the presentation and interact with it at the same time. Now, if all of your students have access to computers or tablets, you can have all of your students watching and interacting with the virtual whiteboard on their personal devices. But if only your virtual students have access to some kind of portable device, they can be watching at home on their device, and then you can project the virtual whiteboard inside of the classroom for your in-person learners. So there's 2 different options for viewing and interacting. If you're wondering what virtual whiteboard you should use, I can definitely help you out. There are a lot out there, and it can be really overwhelming deciding which one is the best. We do have video tutorials here on this channel for Google Jamboard, whiteboard.chat, and whiteboard.fi. I've linked all of those down in the description for this video in case you want to check any of those out. But the easiest of all the virtual whiteboards to use is definitely Google Jamboard. So if you're just looking for something simple to get the job done, I definitely recommend that. It's the easiest for you to learn, it's the easiest for your students to learn, and it's great for collaboration. Now, if you're looking for something a little more advanced, or you're teaching math, I highly recommend that you check out whiteboard.chat. And the reason why I love whiteboard.chat so much is because it has built-in math manipulatives. So especially for your virtual students who probably don't have access to math manipulatives at home, that will provide it for them. So then your in-person students, they can either use the hands-on manipulatives that you have in the classroom, or they can use the virtual manipulatives too, but then your virtual students will still have something that they can work with and interact with at the same time. The third way you can keep your in-person and virtual students engaged at the same time is by using games where everyone responds in the same way. And what I mean by that is, think about games that you can play that when students respond, they're going to respond in the same way no matter whether they are learning in the classroom or virtually. So some great examples for this are just simple call-out games where you call out a question and students write it down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, and then when you tell them, everybody holds up the answer. Something like this makes it really quick and easy for you to see all of your students' responses. You can quickly look around the classroom and then glance at your computer screen and see what your virtual students have got written down, but it's very easy and quick for you to do. Number 4 on my list is centers. And when you hear me say this, you may be thinking, Meghan, how can both my in-person and my virtual students be completing centers at the same time? And that's a great question. The key to this is making sure that for your center activities, you also have a digital version of the center activities available. For all of my task cards and my science escape rooms, I have my PDF version, which I print and I use those in centers or stations around my classroom, but then I also always create a digital version in Google Forms for either virtual students or students that aren't able to access the activity inside of the classroom. So my in-person students would be rotating through the centers or stations, completing the activities, while my virtual students are completing the exact same questions and activities inside of Google Forms at the same time. And then while students are working independently, this puts me in the position where I am able to check on students individually, both in the classroom and virtually on my computer, and I'm also able to answer any questions that students might have. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have time to create a digital version of all my centers, I can help you out there too. If you go down to the link in the description for this video, I have provided links to all of my task cards for math, US history, Virginia studies, and science, and links to all of my science escape rooms. Like I said, all of these things come with an option for in-person learning and a Google form for your virtual learners. Yay, you have made it to my 5th and final activity for hybrid teaching. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end of this video. The 5th and final way that you can keep your in-person and virtual students engaged at the same time is through guided instruction. Think about it, you're already doing this all the time anyways. You meet with one group of students for guided instruction while the rest of your students work independently on an assignment. So what you're going to do is you are going to meet with your virtual students, give them a little bit more guided instruction for math or ELA or anything. And while you're meeting with them, your in-person students are working independently on an assignment. Then you're going to switch. You're going to work with your in-person learners while your virtual learners are working on an assignment. Now, the one thing you need to keep in mind with this, and really with any of these activities, is even when you are up and moving around the classroom, you need to make sure that you can still keep an eye on your monitor, so that way you can always make sure that your virtual students are present and that they are staying on task too and be available if they have any questions. So there you have it. That is my top 5 activities for keeping in-person and virtual students engaged at the same time. And now that we've been getting into this whole hybrid learning thing for a little while, I'm sure you've got lots of activities and tips and ideas as well. So please go down to the comments of this video and let us know what you're doing that's really working. If you have a hybrid activity that's working really well with your in-person and virtual learners, please let us know. If you have a hybrid teaching tip that's just been awesome for you in your class, please let us know. This is a great way for us all to learn and grow from each other. And then after you do that, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really does help this channel to grow, and it also lets you know when we release our latest videos. We have lots of videos with teacher tutorials and tips and resources and things to help you in the classroom, and I don't want you to miss out on any of those things. So make sure to subscribe. And until next time, happy teaching!